Hi, it's Hoodie from Soul Talk with Hoodie. I wanted to share a thought with you that actually has to do with this past week's Torah portion that we just read yesterday. Bereshis, we're back to basics, back to the beginning. In one of the first few verses, it talks about how when God created the world, before he filled it with people and animals and light, there was such an emptiness that it was tohu vavohu. That means it was astonishingly empty. And the next thing you hear is that God, Vayihi Ar, he created light. So why is it important for us to know this? We know that every single word and every single letter in the Torah is written for a reason, to teach us a lesson. I think the lesson could be understood as follows. We just went through an experience of an Elul, a Rosh Hashanah, a Yom Kippur, a Sukkot, with all of the deep introspection, hopefully, and desire for change. And maybe some of us have encountered this thought of realizing that there was a void, being astonished at the voids in our life, at all of those holes that need to be filled, and all of those spaces in our life that need improvement. And we could stop right there. We could say, oh my gosh, there's so much to work on. I don't even know where to begin. I'm just not going to bother. Or we can take this feeling of astonishment at our voids and fill it with light. What does this mean? We are living in very dangerous times. Unfortunately, not everything is reported in American news, and I really try to shy away from speaking about politics. But being that I am a proud Jew and I stand with Israel, it's clear that the world is not reporting what's really going on. And we can take this and we could be angry and we can be astonished and we can post all over Facebook about how crazy it is that they're not saying anything about this on the news. They're not saying the truth of what's really going on. Or we can have that astonishment, see the void, and bring light. One of the most effective ways to bring light is through Torah. What do I mean by this? On Simchas Torah, the last of the holidays, when we go around and we dance with the Torah and we celebrate who we are as a Jewish people and that we're one with God and we're one with the Torah, one of the beautiful songs goes like this: Torahs Hashem Temima Meshivas Nafesh. This means that the Torah of God is pure and it restores the spirit. No matter what is going on in the world out there, in the world within our own inner world, the Torah will restore our spirit. It will give us that clarity and that peace of mind. Usually I will say this in a more gentle way. I encourage people in general to stay connected to Torah, to come to Torah classes, to find a mentor in their life, a spiritual mentor that can give them guidance. But today I feel like I need to say it a little more strongly. We owe it to our brothers and sisters in Israel. We owe it to ourselves. We have to dig deep. This is the time to bring light, not just to notice the void. We can't bury our heads in the sand. We must bring light. We don't have a choice. It's our obligation. And the greatest way to bring light is to connect ourselves to Torah in whatever way possible. There are so many opportunities in communities all over the world. I urge you to please explore those opportunities. See what you have locally to tap in and to connect and to get the answers that you're searching for. Because when we change ourselves and bring that light, ultimately, we will merit that world peace where the whole world will be filled with light and really feel and understand the presence and the love of God. One of the things also to keep in mind is that on Rosh Hashanah, our spiritual seed for the new year was planted. And that means that when you plant a seed, you need to water it and you need to nurture it. You can't just leave it to just grow by itself. About a year and a half ago, when I had my most recent baby, a very dear friend of ours had this brainstorm to work with one of my boys and plant a garden in our backyard. And this particular child of mine loves nature, loves animals, and it was such a great outlet for him. And she spent the time planting cucumbers and tomatoes and herbs. And then she got busy, and I was busy with the new baby. And we kind of left it by the wayside and didn't really water the garden so much or tend to it or take care of it. And it really needed some of that nurturing. It got to a point where our next door neighbor knocked on our door one day and said, "Do you want us to trim your cucumber tree?" That's when we realized it got completely out of hand. Our little cucumber plant that needed that nurturing and that tending to had turned into this overgrown tree with massive, monstrous sized cucumbers that weren't even edible. We don't want that to happen to our spiritual seed. We just planted this little tiny seed, this little baby, this little newborn baby. We want to take care of it and we want to nurture it. We want it to thrive and grow. And the only way to do that is to connect to Torah on a daily basis. One of my friends has a great analogy. She said it's like your phone. You have to recharge it at least once a day, right? I know nowadays there are all these cool things that you can do with an iPhone, a cover that actually recharges your phone. That would be like plugging into Torah 24/7. But really, we all need this, no matter what our background, no matter what our affiliation, no matter our level of connection or desire. We need to connect to Torah in every way possible. So again, I urge you, whatever city you live in, wherever you are, look for those opportunities and connect. Connect to Torah learning, connect to a Torah mentor, and it will give you the answers that you're seeking for. And together, we can bring light to vanquish this incredible darkness that we're experiencing. Thanks for joining me today on Soul Talk with Hudi.